leaves and rough brown bark. Mr. Hearst and Miss Morgan designed the road to wind around the trees, some of which are more than 300 years old. On the hilltop, they sited the buildings around the oaks, and occasionally even moved a massive oak out of the way as the castle grew. You'll notice the hillsides are also covered with grasses. With the winter rains, these grasses turn a rich green. In the summer and fall, they change color to a golden brown. Mr. Hearst filled these pastures with his exotic zoo animals. In his day, guests traveling this road would have passed by antelopes, yaks, giraffes, llamas, water buffalo, bison, and more than 100 other species. Most are gone now, but in addition to the audads, today you might see sambar deer and Roosevelt elk mingled with the cattle. Keep watching, and you may also glimpse some animals native to the area, including deer, foxes, and coyotes, as well as the large black birds that soar through the skies, known as turkey vultures. The views of the coastline can be quite spectacular on clear days. So too are the views of the twin-towered structure Hearst and Julia Morgan called Casa Grande, which means big house in Spanish, now commonly referred to as the castle. The road was designed so the castle would appear and disappear as you climb higher.
This one is called Casa del Sol, and all of the cottages are named for their view. By the way, the view side is considered the front of the house. Looking down, you're looking down at the Hearst Ranch. The story does not begin with William Randolph Hearst. It actually begins with his father, George Hearst. He had cumulatively about a fourth grade education, but he was an innate geologist. He seemed to know what was going on underground. He came west with the 49ers in 1849. He's looking for mineral wealth in the Sierras. He's been prospecting for 10 years. He's doing okay, not great, not awful. Moves his operations to the eastern Sierras. That's present-day Virginia City, Nevada. He buys a percentage interest in something called the Ophir mine. People think that is a waste of time. Au contraire, that mine will produce 99% pure silver, and it is still a part of this country's history as the largest silver strike Comstock lode. So almost overnight, George Hearst is a very wealthy man. Buys 45,000 acres of land here in San Simion. He will pay a whopping 71 cents for an acre. Yes, ma'am. But yeah, you haven't heard the best part. He will also, till the day he dies, tell somebody or anybody who will listen that he's paid too much money for the land. Okay? Over there where that temple facade is. It gets very, very, very hot up here. The sun's one of the places to cool off. So he shows the reaction at Julia Morgan, and that deflecting pool was turned into a temporary swimming pool, but thus the need for a pool was born, and that brings us to pool number 2. And you can see it is down there. That inner oval that you see, okay? That is the same as orientation of pool number 2. Over here is the alto. You'll notice the wall here has a step profile. There was a stepped cascade waterfall coming all the way down to pool number 2, and at the top of the waterfall were 3 statues, and those 3 statues are now up there in that pediment in the temple facade. That is good old King Neptune himself. He is not taking a selfie. He is his trident. The statues are over 400 years old, and at one time they actually belonged to the Italian composer. Now this is called falling, and these are very popular pieces of 19th century landscape. Just the Hearst purchased the homes, which are 6 columns, are over 2,000 years old. They came from Italy. The entablature is also antique. The rest of it is cast plaster and cast concrete. But we want to ring the bell. First Tarzan in the movies. Johnny Weissmuller was slamming in the pool. It was really a veritable who's who of an invitation list. Questions about anything you've seen up there? There's a lot of shock and awe, right? Heck of a project, right? Okay. We'll take a walk up. Oldest artifacts on the hilltop. This is the goddess Sekhmet, and these statues are over 3,000 years old. The whole project here is kind of a mini tour of the Mediterranean. Sekhmet is a very important deity. She is known as the bloodthirsty protectress, the giver and taker of life. Who is she protecting? Her father, their primary deity, the sun god Ra. She has the body of a woman and the head of a lion. There would have been a cobra right here on her forehead. Her association with Ra is indicated by this. This is not a frisbee. This is what's called a solar disk. they're still digging up statues of Sekhmet in Egypt. Why is the collecting of Egyptian statues so important to Mr. Hearst? Why is he doing this? 1920s, the discovery of King Tut's tomb. It sets off what is called Egyptomania. Everybody has to have a piece of Egypt. Interestingly enough, archaeology at that time was not yet a science, it was a hobby. This is how a lot. So this is the main project. This is what he called Casa Grande, the big house. The whole project, and looking up from the bottom of the hill, looking up here, this is supposed to look like a small hilltop town, an old town, maybe somewhere in Spain or in Italy. And so perhaps in that town or near that town there were the outskirts of a temple, Roman temple, the ruins of a temple. That's why the Neptune pool looks the way it does. And then the cottages, this is the village, kind of cascading down the hill. And then on the right, and because he's building in the style of the Renaissance, the house is symmetrical. So this bedroom up over here with the balcony, that would have been Millicent Hearst's bedroom. Millicent Hearst never spent a night in that bedroom. In 1915, Mr. Hearst is going to be an actress, and her name is Marion Davies. And he's going to begin an affair with her. That affair will last the rest of his life. By 1924, Mr. and Mrs. Hearst are legally separated, but they never divorce. So if you are invited up here during the heyday of this house, which is basically 1927 to 1937, because Dad was right, don't give him the money. By 1937, William Randolph Hearst will be over $85 million in debt. It has taken him. Okay, please help me out. Just a word that came to you when you walked in. Anything. Gorgeous. Sorry? Unbelievable. Somebody else. Come on.
Busy.
Busy. Thank you. There are no wrong answers. Silence would be just as appropriate. Imagine walking into this room as the first time guest of William Randolph Hearst. You would come through those doors. Over there would have been one of the staff or the employees. They were never servants to Mr. Hearst. Marion Davies would be there to greet you. What is your name? Julie. Imagine you walked into this room for the first time. You're a little overwhelmed. She's going to go out of her way to make sure that you are properly introduced to all of the guests. She might sit you down there at a card table, working on a puzzle, playing Monopoly. All right, that's a great question. I'll answer that one when everyone's in the room. Obviously, Mr. Hearst very concerned about the type of architecture that he wanted in his house. We were in the assembly room, that is the architecture of the Renaissance, very symmetrical. Here in this room, we are looking at Gothic architecture. One of the characteristics of Gothic architecture is that it emphasizes vertical. You have these very strong vertical lines that are drawing the eye upward. You're looking at another 16th century ceiling from Italy. It's carved out of walnut. And while you are all looking up, you are all experiencing an optical illusion. Right? The female figures that you see here, these are what are called caryatids. Julie Morgan, the architect, had designed these. It was part of her architecture program in Paris. She was the first woman admitted to the School of Fine Arts, l'École des Beaux-Arts. She was the first woman graduated from the École des Beaux-Arts. She's California's first licensed female architect, only architect to win the gold medal by the AIA. She was very happy to see these come off of paper and into Mr. Hearst's private movie palace. They are structural, or rather they're not structural, they're decorative, they're made of cast plaster. What is structural is the wood over your head, except this is not wood. These are steel beams painted to look like wood. They are carrying the load of the house on the upper floors. So you've got 5 seats of the theater. You got 10 seats in each row. Mr. Hearst is going to be down there about the first or second row. He's got a telephone next to him. If he doesn't like the movie that's being played, he can call up and have it.
While you're at the visitor center, be sure to stop by the gift shop and also view the free exhibits, which will give you an expanded appreciation of the estate. If you get a hankering to try the Hearst Ranch beef products, they are available for shipment and sale at the kiosk at the visitor center, as well as being served in the restaurant.